All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down a really powerful way to think about personal reinvention. If you've ever felt stuck or like you're just not quite living up to your potential, this is for you. Think about it. Every single year, it's the same story, isn't it? We set these big New Year's resolutions, we make grand plans, and we tell ourselves, okay, this is the year things are finally going to be different. It's this universal ritual of trying to better ourselves. And yet, we all know how this usually ends. Most of those big plans kind of fizzle out by February, right? We slip back into our old habits, and that big shiny vision just fades away. So, what is going on? Why is making a lasting change so incredibly hard? And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. The problem isn't that you're lazy or that your strategy is bad. The real issue, according to the source material, is all about your identity. You're trying to force new actions onto your old self, and it just doesn't work. It's like a bad software update. Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the real secret is to actually become a new person, how on earth do you even begin to do that? That's exactly what we're going to unpack here. So, we've established that true change is an inside job. It's about shifting your identity. But what's holding that old identity in place? Well, a lot of the time, it's things we're not even aware of, these unconscious goals that are running the show from behind the scenes. Think about it like this. Forcing yourself to go to the gym every day, that's just changing an action. It takes a ton of willpower. But for a professional bodybuilder, eating healthy and training isn't some horrible grind. It's just who they are. In fact, for them, eating junk food would feel weird and wrong. See? Their actions just flow naturally from their identity. So why do we sabotage ourselves? It's almost never because we're lazy. It's because those bad habits are actually really good at achieving some hidden goal. You procrastinate on that big project, not because you lack discipline, but because you are successfully protecting yourself from the fear of being judged for the final product. You stay in that soul-crushing job to achieve the hidden goal of feeling safe and predictable. Okay, so if we're going to change our identity and these hidden goals, we're going to need a map. We can't just wander around in the dark. The source gives us a really cool one called the Human 3.0 model. It's basically a framework for understanding all the different parts of your life and how you grow within them. Let's break this down real quick. The map splits life into two main areas, your individual world and your world with others. So for you, individually, you've got your internal self, your mind, and your external self, your body. And then with others, you've got your internal connection, your spirit, and your external contribution, your vocation, or your work. And here's the key. To really reinvent yourself, you have to work on all four of these areas. Now, this is the really fun part. Within this map, your development happens in stages, and they use a video game analogy. At level 1, you're like an NPC, a non-player character. You're just running on a script given to you by your family, your culture, your past. At level 2, you wake up and become the player. You realize you can make your own choices and follow your own story. But at level 3, you become the creator. You're not just playing the game anymore, you're designing entirely new games for yourself to play. All right, so that's the big picture theory, the map of the whole territory. But a map is useless if you don't take the first step. So let's get super practical. Let's talk about a one-day plan designed to be the spark that lights the fire. The whole point of this one-day protocol is to intentionally shake things up. It's built to create something called dissonance, basically a powerful feeling of discomfort with how things are right now. And that discomfort, that's the fuel. That's what pushes you through the scary part of change and helps you find a new direction with total clarity. And the best part is, it's all packed into a single, totally manageable day. In the morning, you do a deep dive, a kind of psychological excavation. During the day, you use little prompts to break out of your normal autopilot mode, and then in the evening, you pull all those insights together and figure out what's next. So let's zoom in on that morning session. The entire exercise really hinges on the power of asking yourself some brutally honest and maybe even uncomfortable questions. Just take a second with this one. This isn't about what you'd be a little embarrassed to admit. This is about the truth that would feel absolutely, gut-wrenchingly unbearable to say out loud. Answering this honestly forces you to see the gap between who you are right now and the person you want to be. This question is all about building what the source calls an anti-vision. It forces you to look at the real, tangible, day-to-day consequences of not changing. And don't just think, oh, things will be the same. No, spell it out. What time do you wake up? How do you feel? What do you eat for lunch? What does that Tuesday actually feel like? And this is where the magic really happens. On one hand, you have this crystal clear, detailed picture of the life you absolutely do not want, your anti-vision. And on the other, you create an equally detailed picture of the life you do want. It's the massive voltage between these two poles that generates the raw power you need for real, lasting change. Okay, so you've done all this deep emotional work. Now what? How do you actually turn all that insight into a real-life plan? Well, you stop trying to motivate yourself and you start turning your life into a game you actually want to play. Here's how you do it. You define the rules. Your vision, that's the win condition. Your anti-vision, that clearly tells you what's at stake. What happens if you lose? Your one-year goal becomes the main mission. A one-month project is like a tough boss fight you have to get through. And your daily actions, those are the quests that move the story forward. This simple structure creates incredible focus. And this quote, from the guy who literally invented the concept of flow, just perfectly explains why this whole game thing works so well. When you're playing a game with clear rules and clear goals, all the distractions just fall away. Your mind becomes ordered. You get completely absorbed in what you're doing, which is not only the most effective way to make progress, but it's also the most enjoyable way to live. So at the end of the day, this isn't about finding some magic bullet for self-improvement. It's about consciously and deliberately designing a more exciting game for yourself to play than the one you're currently stuck in on autopilot. So the only question left is, are you ready to pick up the controller and start playing?